I'm going to review these Philips LED T10 wedge bulbs, which replace 501 or W5W 5-watt incandescent bulbs. Now these are the 4000 Kelvin version. Philips say here warm white, but that's really a misnomer. 4000K should give a very neutral or pure white, as opposed to a warm yellowish or a cold bluish look. I'll just go over the claims on the box, the other claims. New 360 degrees, so they're saying it's an all-around light. Straight away that's a stretch because the bulb is obviously forward firing and it can't really be expected to fire as much light sideways or backward as an original filament bulb would. Anyway, 5 times more light, but then under that they say 50 lumens, which is highly ironic as that happens to be the normal specification for a traditional W5W incandescent bulb. So yeah, take the 5 times claim with quite a lot of salt. 12-year claimed lifetime is consistent with Philips' other LEDs, so that's good. Now on the back here they have some more graphics. The color indicator at the top gives an outline of the color temperature spectrum, and it places 4000K above standard, which is definitely correct, but it still shows it as yellow, which is really misleading as you'll almost never perceive with your eyes 4000K as containing much yellow. It really is just a pure white. Then down lower they repeat this 360 degree claim, and you can see arrows this time pointing in all directions, which again I think is misleading, as the forward-firing nature of this design is just unlikely to project an equal amount of light behind itself. So we'll see. So let's open it up and have a look. Here's one of the bulbs, and as you can see, as I've been saying, the design consists of this diffuser cover placed over top of a single LED chip. And if you look closely, you can see the yellow chip inside there. So that chip is pointing forward, away from the bulb socket. Now the diffuser is a strong one, and it may be expected to spread the light nicely for sure, but it's certainly not going to magically bend it around backward and somehow emulate the light pattern of a traditional incandescent bulb. So I would say that these LEDs are not the ideal design for lamp enclosures where the bulb is mounted laterally, so you want sideways firing light in a sort of even spread, but it is perfect for situations where it points outward. Now I'll also just mention this bulb's principal competitor, which is from Osram LED Dragon, or Sylvania Zevo in the US. A very similar design, but the diffuser on the Osram is weaker, which may actually be advantageous if it's going behind an existing lens of some kind, like this forward projecting Fresnel lens here, and you want to best emulate the optics, so to speak, of the small filament in the incandescent bulb that it's replacing. On the other hand, if the bulb is out and exposed like this in this headlight, then the Philips diffuser is probably preferable just because it will spread the light out better on its own. Now let's wire this thing up, and here's a demonstration of it working. So nice and bright, seems good, seems like a nice color. Notice how it does appear not as bright when it's pointing away from the camera, so no surprises, that's what I've been saying. So that's okay really, we sort of expect that. Now this is a translucent bowl which I'll just put over top of the bulb, and you can see the light spread is nice and even in that hemisphere in front of the bulb, so it's only behind it that the light output would drop off. And I'll also measure how powerful it is. This car battery is sitting at the moment at 12.76 volts. And if I hook the bulb up to measure its current, you can see, well, it's hard to see, sorry, but the ammeter is measuring 50 milliamps. So that comes out at 0.64 watts, which just so happens to be exactly the same power that I measured the Osram or Sylvania version at, by the way. So they are very, very similar. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is measure the color temperature of this bulb. They claim 4000 Kelvin, so we'll see what it is. The way I do that is take a photograph of a white sheet of paper only lit by the bulb with a decent DSLR camera. And then I open the resulting photograph in Photoshop's Camera Raw processor. and that's what this is here. You don't need to understand the technical details of this if you're not into photography, but basically it allows me to measure the white balance. And you can see here, as shot, the camera thinks it's this. That's clearly wrong. Photoshop thinks that it's 4150, which is closer to what it should be, and you can see that the image is something like white now. But I'm going to use the white balance tool up here, and if I click around and sample random bits of this, we can see the temperature changing in a range between about 3800 and 3900 and commonly 3850. So yeah, that's a result of about 3850 Kelvin, which is a bit less than the claimed 4000, but it is warmer than claimed, and since they claim it to be warm white, then I don't think we can complain too much. That's fine for an interior bulb, and it is still quite a neutral white, so I'm happy with that. Right, that's about it for this review. It basically is an excellent bulb, despite the, let's say, exaggerated claims by Philips. It is very, very similar to the Osram, same configuration, same power, very similar color. The Osram tested slightly cooler at about 4150 Kelvin, but that's not a big difference. I would choose between them based on the stronger diffuser on the Philips versus the weaker diffuser and therefore sharper light from the Osram, just depending on intended use, really. Otherwise, let's call the Philips recommended. All right, I hope that was helpful. Have fun.